So thank you again, everybody, for joining us tonight. Again, my name is Melissa Alves. I serve as the director for career services and advising at Fitchburg State. I'm really excited for this panel tonight. I myself identify as a first gen Latina, and so I'm looking forward to hearing about your experiences and looking forward to probably seeing some similarities across our experiences as first gen students and now first gen graduates, right? And our hope is really that through this conversation, students are able to see that as a first gen student or first gen graduate, there's a lot of assets, right? Versus whether that's skills or different abilities and competencies that you are able to develop as a first gen student that really do translate over to your career. It doesn't stop when you leave, when you leave Fitchburg State. And so often right now the narrative out there is from a deficit perspective, and what we're trying to do is really to flip that narrative, right? Where actually being first gen, yes, there's a lot of struggles and a lot of adversity we have to overcome, but there's a lot that comes out of that actually makes us better employees and just makes us better workers in different capacities, whether that's through our jobs or graduate school or committees and things like that. So I am going to go ahead and jump in and get started. I'll have the panelists introduce themselves. If people have questions, they can certainly put them into the chat. Again, we are recording this. We did have some students reach out saying they couldn't join us, so we wanted to record this and share this with them after. So for the panelists, you already know your order for the response. So I'm just going to start off by saying, can you please just introduce yourself, share with us your name, your class year, your major, where you work and what you do, and then just anything else that you want to share with everybody tonight.
Okay, well, thank you so much for inviting us, and thank you so much for everyone that's here taking the time to listen to us. Like Melissa said, it was so much going on right now, but super thankful and humbled to be here. So my name is Alexandra Valdez. I graduated in 2015. I have a degree from Fitchburg State of Communications Media. I made a concentration in film video with two minors in political studies and international studies as well. I'm currently employed in the mayor's office in the city of Boston. I'm currently hold a position as the director of engagement for the city's economic mobility lab, which focuses on promoting upward economic mobility to our residents. Something else, I was born in the Dominican Republic. I came to the United States when I was about 10 years old to be with my family. I'm also currently finishing up my master's. I'll be done in December. Super excited. Getting my master's in public administration from Suffolk University.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Bernardis, class of 2017, and my major was communications media at Fitchburg State University with a concentration of film and video, just like Alexandra. And I am the owner of Selco Season Media, which is a production company where we specialize in branded content, commercials, music videos, and I'm also an educator as well too at English High School, and I teach design and visual communication, which is graphic design. And fun fact that I am the last of 12 in my family, and I'm a son of Honduran immigrants, and yeah, that's my spiel.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Luis Miguel Correa. I graduated from Fitchburg State in 2016 with a degree in industrial technology. The concentration was architectural technology. And just this past May, I received my master's in architecture. And where I work now is at a historical preservation firm in Charlestown, just outside of Boston. And I'm an architect there. And little fun fact about me: before I decided to study architecture, I was a musician, in which I did a lot of classical Latin music.
Hello. Before I start, I just want to say I'm so blessed to be here and thankful. Like Alexandra and Melissa said, it has been a tough time during these times. So I'm so happy to be here. And a shout out to my mentor for being here, Malachi. Thank you. So I am Tabitha Kamal. I graduated class of 2018 with a major of interdisciplinary studies. I am currently a graduate student at Merrimack College pursuing higher ed student affairs. I currently work at the multicultural department at Merrimack College, holding the position as project planner. I am fully 100% Kenyan and proud. And I mean, I was raised in Lawrence, but born in Kenya.
I was listening to you so much, I forgot it was my turn. My name is Ibrahim Callan. I graduated from Fitchburg State in 2017 with a degree in industrial technology and concentration in electronics engineering. And then 2019 with a degree in MBA, concentration in management. I currently work as a technical support analyst at Trimble, which is like a technical firm. So what I do is I work with the software aspect of the company. So I like troubleshoot the software in the back end and so on and so forth. And at the same time, I also run my own business. I'm a real estate agent in the state of Mass, and I will be extending my license to other states in the upcoming months or so. I'm an immigrant. I was born and raised in Freetown, Sierra Leone. I came to the United States when I was 9 years old, and I reside in Boston until I came up to and attended Fitchburg State, and I fell in love with the city, and I'm still here. People ask me all the time, like, why are you still up here? It's so boring out there. And I tell them all the time, like, I focus more up here. There's less distraction. So I see that aspect of it. I get to do what I want to do, and what like literally like my neighbors are like elderly people. They don't bother me. They don't make no noise. I get to like consume so much content from the books and stuff that I read and stuff like that. So I love it up here. So that's my spiel.
Thank you all for your introductions. Something that really resonates with me is our right the intersectionality of your identities, right? So not only are you first gen, but you hold other identities, such as whether you are a son or daughter of immigrants or you immigrated here to this country, right? And that really obviously plays a lot into our experiences as well, when we hold other identities. I think specifically, right, other marginalized identities. So thank you for sharing a little bit about yourselves. So I'm going to start off. The first question I have is, what does being a first generation college graduate mean to you? And we're going to get started with Alessandra.
I feel like this is a very, to me, I literally thought about this question before I even answered it. To me, being a first generation means providing the pathway for those behind you and also looking at yourself and believing in yourself. As myself, I'm the only girl and I have two brothers. They're both younger, and I'm the oldest one. And also looking into my family as a whole. Um, I was also one of the first ones to graduate as from everyone, like with my cousins, my everyone. And it was that to me, like sitting down and believing in that. It was literally thinking that I'm paving the way for those who are coming behind me. I also look at as being first generation as showing that it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to learn from them. I feel like sometimes we may be too hard on ourselves. And as someone who came here without, I always say this, without even knowing a drop of English and coming in into a school system where to me everything was so unknown, realizing that it's okay to go out of your comfort zone is totally fine, and pushing yourself also it's a lot to think of, and being a first generation just makes you think of that so much more and how you can prepare the way, how you can prepare yourself for those difficult times, and also let others know that it's okay to be in difficult times. It's okay to experience losses, but it's also even more okay to get up and keep going.
Uh, who is it? Is it Louise or is it me?
Kevin, you're next.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does being a first gen college graduate mean to me? Uh, the first thing that comes to my mind is being able to break a generational curse. I feel like back in high school, I was like so determined just to get to college because I knew that I was set out to be a bigger person than what I thought I would be, and also I just felt like the type of education I was getting from high school, I felt like it was good, but then I know it could be better, but not only for myself, but like only, but for my future, for my career, and where I wanted to go. And has been like the last the last of 12 siblings, right? Like I am like the first. I'm proud of myself to say like, hey, like I could look at myself in the mirror like, hey, like I'm the first gen in my family, and I was able to do this. And not only did I like done it, but I couldn't do it without them because like there was like the motivation factor behind all of this. Like it was like my support, and then out and outside of my family, I got people that support me as well too, and it takes a village to raise a child, and it took a lot to be able to. Damn, I'm like tearing a little bit. It took a lot to be able to get to this point, but I feel like it's only gonna get better from here. And another thing too is that like when I was my last year of at Fitchburg, uh, in 2017, I was going through like tremendous amount of like difficulty. I feel like honestly that must have been like my most like toughest year out of college and out of like my academic like yeah. So I just think so basically it was my graduation date was May 20th, right? And I was going through like a lot, like outside of school, inside of school, like working and trying to keep up with my academics. May 20th was the day of my dad's birthday. It was the day of my dad's birthday, and not only it was the day of my dad's birthday, like I said, I was like I'm the last of 12, and I was just on the verge about to like graduate and so forth. And on top of that, I didn't see that I wasn't gonna be able to. I didn't see that I was gonna like cross that stage. But I had like just like Alexandra, I believed in myself that like I knew something was gonna happen because like I'm like I told myself there's no way how I'm gonna miss my graduation on my dad's birthday. And it just so happened that it came to fruition just by you know continuing to put in the work, having that faith, and just remaining focused on like the task at hand, right? And now I'm sitting here with you guys, and I'm hoping that we could be able to spread this message moving forward, and also just be able to provide the resources and the tools that others may need, so that they too can be able to do the same or even better.
How am I supposed to follow that up? No, I think more or less tagging along with what Alessandra and Kevin has mentioned, what I find most important and what's best about being a first generation college student is that it provides its own set of obstacles that rather than seen as a daunting task is more of an interesting challenge. Not necessarily having that direct support that you would have of someone who simply have done it before you, so therefore they could easily guide you along the way. It makes it so that you have this path where you don't necessarily know how it leads, because college at the very minimum is an incredible long time, and we think it's a couple years that once we're past it, it feels as though it just left. But while we're in it, sometimes the darkest moments makes it so that it feels as though it lasts forever. But even outside of the challenges that college itself presents to you, which each and every student has to overcome, being a first generation college student now kind of doubles that, in which now it has its own set of obstacles that makes it so that the old cliche that we often hear of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger is true in a lot of senses, and it applies here as well, in which each and everything that you have to overcome, especially being first generation, where a lot of it you unfortunately do have to go through one way or another solo. It makes it so that when you do overcome it, and just like all of us here, we end up becoming graduates at the end of the day, it makes it so that we end up becoming stronger. So therefore, any goals that we have moving forward after the bachelor's degree that we were able to obtain from Fitchburg State, we're more than prepared than most because of the challenges that we had to overcome initially being a first generation college student. So therefore, as mentioned, it didn't kill us, so it made us stronger and being able to, as mentioned, overcome any future goals that come to mind right after being able to graduate.
You guys are killing it. I don't know what to do now. What does it mean to be a first generation college grad? I think it means making my family proud. I also think it's creating unimaginable opportunities that I wasn't even aware about. I think about my career in education and struggles that my family had to go through. I remember my family and my parents putting me into a program to learn English so that I can be able to navigate what other students already know. So I think for me personally, I have worked so hard to be where I am. And I think about the struggles and the things that my family had to do to put me where I am now. I know that my mom had to go back to school in order for me to go to Fitchburg State, and I couldn't be more blessed to be here. I think sometimes we forget that being in college, a four-year institution, or even a community college is a privilege. K through 12 is not, it's something that you have to do. You're given it, it's not something you have to pay. So going into a university and being able to have and gain knowledge that other students might have known or are gaining at the same time, I couldn't be more blessed and happy. So I think it's all about reflecting on my own past experience and where I am now.
It's definitely going to be hard to top all of that. I was taking notes, trying to like add all the points together. But in my opinion, being a first generation student means that you get a better understanding of yourself. Because I can relate. I can recall from like when I was a freshman year, when my family dropped me off at college. As soon as they drop me off, they have to rush back so they can head to work. So I grew up in a family where they spend more time at their job than they do in their house. So I was growing up with that mindset, and I didn't want to replicate that. So I kind of like try to set the stage for myself and learn from other people's experience as I go. And the more I do that, the more I utilize the resources that's around me, the more I get to know myself better. And that's the key in the whole process of being a first generation student, in my opinion. Is not only creating your own path, it's also while you're creating the own path, you're learning about yourself, you're learning about the mistake that you made along the way. You're also learning from other people's mistakes so you don't repeat them. And I'm a key believer that you have to be aware of everything that's around you. You have to literally pay attention to every single thing, and every person that you meet and interact with have something to teach you. And literally that's why people say I'm so friendly and I always talk to people. That's one of the main reasons. It's because I would like to get to know people and increase my network base and stuff like that. So technically throughout that whole journey and experiencing all that connection and utilizing all that resource, I came to a better understanding of the type of person I am. And I created like this mental toughness within me that I can I can achieve anything that I want in life, no matter what. And if it's up, like if it is to be, it's up to me. I can literally take that first step. I can create the imagination in my mind first, walk it through my mind, and then bring it to light, pretty much. So it definitely helps me get a better understanding of myself.
Great. So thank you everybody for sharing what it means to you to be first gen. I think there's some key things that really, stood out. I really heard a lot about family, right? Paving the way. and just be confident and knowing yourself and recognizing, right, that there's struggles, but that you come out really being stronger at the end of a lot of these struggles that we go through as first gen students, and that because of those struggles and having to really do it on your own, you do know yourself better, and your strengths at the end of all that. So thank you. Because of time, I'm going to combine the next two questions. So I'm actually, for the panelists, I'm going to skip the second question and move on to question 2 and 3 and combine them. And so the question is, what are some of the struggles that you endured as a first gen college student at Fitchburg? And what are some of the things that you think the school could change in order to better support first gen students? So why don't we start off with Tabitha, so that order for the fourth question.
Okay, some of the struggles of being a first generation is learning how to navigate the university. I think that orientation is not enough to understand or comprehend what the college experience is and what you need to do to be able to be successful. So I think that Fitchburg State should do a better job navigating students' websites like research, navigating them to also learn different ways to network. I also do believe that Fitchburg State, sorry, I wrote these down as well so I don't forget. So today I realized that I also didn't know how to navigate the things that I'm doing at Merrimack, like learning how to use Kahoot, Canva. I have never used Google Classroom. So I think utilizing seminar and showing students how to really use Blackboard, how to use the library database, things like that that can easily make a student's experience smoother. That's my opinion.
Am I next? I am. Okay. I know you guys are looking at me. So one of the struggles that I endured at Fitchburg State as a first generation student was utilizing the resources that are around me. I remember like my freshman year, I was like the outgoing type. So to put it in a professional perspective, like I used to go out like every Thursday, and I also used to go out every weekend as well. And my best friend Kevin and I, we used to be like the DJs at this conferences or network sections that we used to be at. So it used to be interesting. That's one of the way I started networking with so many people, and that's how I connected with so many people, and that's how I met so many people, because people always come around me and ask me, how do you know so many people? It's because I was outgoing. I was reaching out to people and I was connecting with these people. When I was at those sessions, I was not only there to have fun, I was also making meaningful conversation with the people, actually showing my interest in their well-being, how they're doing, how their families doing, actually trying to know them outside of the environment that we are in. And that's how I connect eye to eye with those type of people. So that's one of the places I network. And another resource that helped me tremendously was the resident assistant position. I remember freshman year too, like when I used to go in and out at those Thursday sessions, and I used to come back and I see my RA, they used to be up in the office. I used to think that they're so lame that they're always up in the office just staying up, and I never got the concept of it. And over the years, I've learned that you will not see an opportunity as an opportunity if you don't have the knowledge to see it as an opportunity. So technically, there's tremendous of resource around us. There's resources everywhere. But if you don't have the knowledge to see the opportunity in that resource, you will not take advantage of it. And that was the downfall of my view of the RA position. So technically, once I established that, I came to realize it was when one of my friends, Edwin, became an RA sophomore year, and I started talking to him about the position, and he started giving me more insight about the benefits and stuff like that. And one of the key things that stood out to me was you can save over 10K a year. I was like, what? Hold on, you can save over 10K? So that was like my go-to. So that motivated me because as a first generation student, that was one thing I struggled with, trying to pay for school financially for myself. I had so many jobs. I had to write so many appeal letters to the financial aid department, and also I applied to so many different scholarships as well on and off campus. I had a scholarship coming into the university that covered all 4 years of my tuition, but that was not enough. No, so like it was after my freshman year, my sophomore year, when that bill hit my inbox, that I realized that, oh snap, I really have to do something with this. I really have to be creative with the resources that I have around me, so I can utilize that to my own benefit and actually leverage whatever I get from this, so I can progress and keep going till I finish with my education. Going off to the second question, one thing that I wrote down that I think Fitchburg State can do a better job of is, I don't know if this is possible, to create like a center or club for first generation students. There's a famous African quote that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So I feel like once you bring those students together, like in that one environment, they can bounce off idea off of each other. They can share resources, ideas. They can support one another. They can hold each other accountable, and that would definitely endure them to motivate them to go far and finish the college. Because one struggle too as a first generation students, you can easily be distracted, and you can feel like you're alone in the so-called world that you're in, because you never experienced it. You don't have a role model in your family to look up to guide you through all the struggles that you're going through. So you can easily be frustrated and drop out. That's like the worst that can happen. But I feel like if you have that platform, you create that environment with those students, then they all can bounce off ideas off of one another and hold each other accountable, and that would definitely increase the graduation rate within the first generation students.
This is my turn. I think everyone did a pretty good job, but I'll try to put in my two cents. Let me go back to the question, I guess. What are some of my struggles? To be honest, this is just to be completely honest. I mean, when I first came into Fitchburg State, I transferred in from Mass Bay Community College. That was, I have to say, that was a big struggle because, again, I always call myself as like the experiment child of my parents, because they didn't know what they were doing. So they were trying everything left and right. Like, okay, does this work? Okay, fine. This didn't work. Oh, okay, fine. Like, let's do the other one. Um, and I always say to myself, imagine like Latino parents not knowing how to even fill out an application for me to go to school, or me not even knowing how to fill out a FAFSA. Like that was all like gibberish to me. I'm like, what is this? What? Like I have to fill this out. So it was all very much at once. So this is why where Mass Bay Community College came in. And when I transferred over to Fitchburg, I was very like, okay, who do I need to know? What do I need to do to be basically involved in everything? This was not the case when I was at Mass Bay. When I was at Mass Bay, like I struggled a lot. And even when I was in high school, I struggled a lot because my English was not where it needed to be. So it took me a little longer to graduate high school because I needed to still pass all of my, like the MCAS and all of my English classes. So by the time I got to Mass Bay, I was super, super discouraged, and I didn't even know if I was going to graduate, to be honest. But then my last year at Mass Bay, I was like, Alex, you need to get it together. Like, this is about you. This is about everyone else that comes after you. So by the time that I went to Fitchburg, I went in and I was able to get involved in student government. I was able to get involved as being an orientation leader. I was also part of Alpha Sigma Tau, which today is our Founders Day. And I was able to also work with Emily sometimes in the alumni office, calling other alumni to donate to the school. I took advantage of basically everything because I knew that this was the only chance I had to gain all this knowledge, to be able to understand and grasp everything that meant, that what being a college actually meant. Because this is something, it's like something super new to me. So I was like when you give a little kid ice cream for the first time, that's basically how I felt. And to me, it was like, how do I do the best and how do I obtain everything? and how do I make my time's worth here at Fitchburg State? And that was the way that I basically enjoyed it, and that was the way that I took advantage of everything. And I do acknowledge that that's not the case for everyone, but one of the biggest things that I do tell people is get involved, even if it's something as small as going to student government meetings, even if it's something as popping into alumni office and be like, hi, like my name is so and so, like how can I help? How can I get involved? Is super important. And it's very important when it is for you to find out all the different resources that the school has to offer. And then on to the next point as to what can Fitchburg State do better. I mean, just looking demographics, right, as to where Fitchburg State is. Fitchburg State is in a place where it's a minority majority, right? So we are looking into diversity and inclusion and looking at what those numbers look like. Predominantly Latinos and Black African Americans are the ones that live in Fitchburg itself. So how do we make the school reflective of that, and how do we make the school reflective of those who live there, including from those who are in key positions to the point of the students? So, I mean, for something also focusing in, and I mentioned this when I was in another panel, is assuring that when the school does targeted outreach, when the school is involving, assuring that you're doing it differently. Every community is targeted differently, every community is looked at differently, and what you might do for one group might not work for the other. So, and you know what? It is a little bit of work, but doing that extra little bit of work will get you to engage those people, will get you to engage that community that truly represents where you're serving and represents where you are right now. So, representation at all levels, and that's including from the highest to highest position, right, to the lowest to lowest, and also assuring that diversity is amongst everything we talk about, and huge when it comes to language access, right? We're focused on targeting parents and focused on targeting students. But what does that look like for parents that don't understand and don't have English as a first language? So assuring that language access is a priority is also one of my top two recommendations.
All right, man, y'all are doing so phenomenal right now. Now it feels like we're all. I mean, this is no level of competition, but this is like a level of like of elevation. I love this type of energy. This is why I thrive off of. But some of the struggles that I've endured when it comes to like when it came to Fitchburg State, I believe that I mean, as cliche as this sounds, I believe that your network is your net worth. You know what I'm saying? And I had to learn that the hard way because um, I swear, like I think, like I mean, put it like this. So like after I graduated, I was applying to so many jobs, and I was getting declined like left to right. And little did I know that I'm like, am I like not? I started like questioning myself. I'm like, am I not valuable? Like I got my degree, and I done so much just to get this degree, and then like how come I'm not able to like get the job that I'm looking for, or like I still gotta pay bills at the end of the day, and still gotta pay Uncle Sam. You know what I'm saying? So and then I just felt like I was just so like slept on how I just like just trying to like put out like as like me as a creative as a as an artist as an entrepreneur and also as an educator. I've just learned that like you know that I just wish I could have learned. I wish I could have networked so much more, just as much as Ibrahim did. Just like because I feel like I was like so much to myself that I just felt like my energy was just too vibrant to just be passed on to just everybody and anybody. But I've evolved to just becoming like more of like a people's person and always welcoming whoever comes into my space. Like I love everybody, even if I don't know you. You know what I'm saying? So I just like me, like I just continue like to spread love and positivity and good energy and good intention with a positive state of mind. And so like what I really meant to say is that like I was like although I was getting denied from like so many jobs after college and so forth, I learned how to be innovative and be creative on like the things that I had at, you know, the things I had around me. And you know, that's where not only was I able to build a successful company, which was a Selco Season Media. I was also was able to bridge the gap with my partner, my little brother Joel. We've done we created our own entertainment and network company called Too Lit as well too, where we go into the communities and have successful events and bring our people together, like leaders of the communities and you know educators and business people and things of that nature. We already had I believe we had a number of events that's been like tremendous so far. Like we had a basketball tournament, we had a pay and sip night, and then we already got things going on, and we have some merch that's going out as well too, and so I just felt as if like some of the changes that FSU can embody is being able to uh, be able to bridge the gap, the opportunity gap for you know people of color, Latinos, you know Black and Brown people. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if we continue to like bridge the gap of opportunity costs, little do we know that we could be able to do something even more colossal than what we can even think of. Because like the more we grow together, the more we could be able to build together, and the more we could just be able to do even just greater things. Like you can only go so far just by doing things by yourself. And if if you work as a unified team, then things could start working in your favor. So as long as FSU continues to to build upon like what they're already doing, like just uh just having how like having discussions like this, like connecting to our alumni and having opportunities to talk to different organizations and so forth. Just being able to bridge that gap would definitely set us apart moving forward.
Yeah, one thing I just remembered now that I didn't mention in my intro is that I live right now and I've lived for most of my life in Leominster, which is the neighboring town of Fitchburg. And so I've been more or less involved in the city of Fitchburg for most of my life. And then towards upon graduating high school is when I finally became a student at Fitchburg State, but just being accustomed to the campus as well. Before even entering Fitchburg State, I was a part of a college prep program called Upward Bound. So even though I was a commuter, I stayed in the campus like every summer that I had basically throughout my time in high school, and just being accustomed to the campus even before getting a chance to um, become a student there, it helped me get adjusted to any and all preparations that were necessary upon becoming a student. And the reason that comes to mind is because some of the struggles that at least I had, luckily Upward Bound was able to mitigate some of them, but there's still some that you don't really fully understand until you're kind of in the thick of things, and then from there you just have to figure it out. Sometimes it feels like, when you have a puzzle you got to put together, but you can never look at the cover of the box and you don't know exactly what's being put together, so therefore you don't understand the value of each piece until it gets assembled and then you see the final product at the end. That comes to mind mainly because one thing that I mentioned early on in one of the previous questions is that sometimes you just gotta figure it out, and rather than seeing it as a daunting task in which you end up kind of developing this anxiety or distress to kind of figure out some of these unusual circumstances or situations that come from being a first generation college student. With that as well, um, you could see it as a more unique opportunity so that it ends up kind of molding you to become not only a stronger student, but a stronger person, more mentally, and just being able to kind of pursue things from there, achieving all your goals that you have. And that's what I mean in terms of struggles. Basically, some of the things that would apply uniquely to a first generation college student, something as simple as what Alex mentioned earlier, filling out a FAFSA. That's something where it's like, what what is this? How do I go about even doing it? There's not someone who immediately could just tell you, okay, you do this, 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 and this. You kind of just have to figure out the process from there. And after a while, getting through some of those situations where you don't know how to start it, but you just one way or another find a way to start it, and then you end up succeeding in it, makes it so you get more comfortable with these, for lack of a better term, uncomfortable situations. And then now you develop confidence in yourself if you didn't have it before, to be able to overcome anything, even if you're the first one to do it. And it goes along the lines of being able to become that person that paves the way, so that you're the one that goes through the hardships, and now you can educate others so that they don't have to. And it makes it so that in their experiences that they have, which will ultimately end up being unique to yours, but still end up sharing a lot of similar features, it'll make it so that their hardships either are much less of a burden or much less of a time frame altogether, and they can spend more time focusing on being a student above all. And at the end, just like we mentioned, the concept of paving the way, just as us in this case have graduated, they also get the opportunity to do that too. And that's the focus that I had regarding the struggles. The second question, which is the way that FSU could make things better or support first generation college students, the only thing that comes to mind, honestly, because Fitchburg State has done a lot, at least just speaking for me in this case, to support me each and every step of the way through all the resources. Something as simple as academic advising and career services made it so that it's helped me in some cases that I just didn't know what to do. There was always an answer. Whether I had it or not, it was a different story. But one skill alone is that if you don't have the answer, there's always someone who does, or something that you can find that does. And Fitchburg State always found a way to provide that. The only thing I would say that would ideally be a little bit more beneficial is when I mentioned initially that I was a part of a college preparatory program early in high school, and even in 8th grade, I was a part of this program one way or another. Fitchburg State focusing even before a student becomes a student, not just in the aspect of recruitment, of just focusing on whether you go to Fitchburg State or not, focus on trying to make it so that each and every person, especially in the times of high school when they're preparing for not just college, but for their futures, whether it involves college or not, they understand the focus and the value of not just the education that you get from being within a university, especially at Fitchburg State, but also understanding the value of even a college experience, because a lot of the times, in some cases, that's the best years of your life. But even beyond that, you have this greater focus in which college itself is not just about what happens in the dorm rooms and not just what happens in the classrooms, but there's so much in between that's never actually expressed as to what is it that you're able to obtain from that. What is it, the value that you get from the clubs and organizations that you're a part of, such as be a part of LASSO, Latin American Student Organization, while I was at Fitchburg State. Alex, if I remember right, you were definitely a huge part of SGA during your time there. That I remember for sure. And just like something as simple as what Ibrahim was mentioning earlier about being outgoing, not just in the aspect of networking, but just being social, so that you create this greater impact within the campus itself and the overall experience that you create for others, not just what you're able to receive, but what you're able to give as well. It makes it so that ideally not just the campus or the area that you're in as well is a better place, but ideally the world's a better place if everybody ends up doing that. So Fitchburg State is just a modicum of that. Going back to the question itself, is a greater focus of the integration of pushing the value of not only education, but also the college experience to those, not just when they're in college or when they're starting as a freshman, but even before that.
Great. You all are out here dropping some good knowledge and some good advice. So I'm glad we're recording this, because I think I appreciate you all being willing to share some of your struggles, but also, right, as alumni, as students, we're always wanting to push our institution to do better. And so, I think there's a lot of what you've said that, I've been here for a little bit over a year, and I do see Fitchburg, making some strides in that area, and we'll continue to. And I think a lot of it has to do with the support that our alumni also contribute as well, because you have that lived experience of being a first gen student here. So, so we're gonna ask one more question, and then we'll open it up to if anybody else has any questions. So the last question we're gonna ask is, how has being a first generation college student or graduate benefited you in your job or your career? And we'll start this question with Ibrahim.
Awesome. So for me, I'm always gonna go back to the network aspect. The reason why is because like a little backstory. I used to be a shy kid growing up. I used to be so shy, and I used to be so self-conscious about myself because I didn't know about myself. I was the child that grew up in the house. Like I was always home. I never used to go out. I always like spend more time in the house and like play video games or like reading books and stuff like that. But then it was after I came to college that I started going out and exploring more and actually start networking. And that forced me to get to know people. It forced me to get out my comfort zone because there was no growth in my comfort zone. You know, you do not grow when you're comfortable in the same position and doing the same thing. You can only grow when you extend beyond that and actually reach out and tap into what you don't think you can tap into. So one thing that I always remember was that like in the aspect of networking, you have this written down. You become interesting by becoming interested in someone else. So technically, you can only be an interesting person by showing interest in someone else. Like literally, I can have a conversation with you, and like probably like a 10-minute conversation with you, and in that 10-minute conversation, I'll probably say just one or two things about myself, and the majority of the time, I'm focused on you because I'm trying to get to know you. And people like talking about themselves. If you give that opportunity for people to talk about themselves, to share their own experience, then they'll find you as an interested person. And I've learned that over the years as a first generation student at Fitchburg State, and I utilize this skill set literally every single day of my life. I can give you another example too that recently happened. I'm recently applying to another position for another company, like a manager position, and I spoke with like one of the leader in the company. He's been with the company since like the 90s, and he knows like the ins and out of the company. He lives in North Carolina, so I set up a Google Meet with him, and I connected with him so much that he gave me this one good advice. He said, "Don't try to be robust at everything that you do." He said, "One thing I recommend is hire a professional resume builder to look over your resume and help them and like technically have them build your resume." He said, "But since you're cool people, I've already done that. I spent $200 to build up my resume. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you a copy of my resume, and all you have to do is fill out the information with your information." I was like, whoa. And when he sent me his resume, I've looked through so many resumes and I've never seen any resume like that. It was literally like, I wish I can share it with you guys. It was literally like split on the left side. It had his qualifications with like check mark next to each qualifications. And on the right side, he had it like a couple of work experience. And on the top, he had like an abstract, for the lack of a better term, of like the type of position. It was like the format of it was like literally like absolute amazing, and I've never seen any resume like that. So and that only happened because of the way I connected with them. Like throughout our meeting, I was not only asking professional questions. I was only asking interest-based question, like how's the weather in California? I'm thinking about visiting California. Can you tell me like what are some of the things you can do in California? And he literally went off of that. He couldn't stop talking because I asked him question, interest-based question for him to talk about himself. And that's how I was able to break the ice and actually connect with him personally. So I think once you learn all that aspect of things as you move on, you definitely, I think networking definitely, in my opinion, is one of the key skill set that anyone can learn. And if you want to learn more, one of the books that helped me tremendously was which I believe is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That's literally like one of my Bibles. Like it's literally like a manual of like how to network with people. It literally tells you step by step on what to do and how to do and stuff like that. So that's definitely one of the skill set that I attained as a first generation student at Fitchburg State that have benefited me not only in my job but also in my life as a whole.
Alexandra, you're next.
Sorry. Like I mentioned, Google Meets wasn't the. Can we repeat them? Sorry, just want to make sure I get out the question. Repeat the question.
Yeah. So, and just for the sake of time, if everybody could maybe keep your response to like 30 seconds. I know that's hard, but that way we allow a few minutes for other folks to ask questions. Just how has being a first generation graduate student benefited you in your job?
Definitely a lot, right? And this is all thanks to all the skills that I gained when I was at Fitchburg State and all the public speaking, all the time management, and being able to juggle different things at the same time. Now in the mayor's office, like things are super super busy, especially with COVID. So being able to learn one how to be very public speaking, at the same time how to use the fact that I speak a second language as a benefit to my job is definitely huge, right? Because we are able to touch upon that constituency. So definitely something that I grasped a lot when I was at Fitchburg State. So that's been very helpful, and as much as well as my leadership skills. Right, something that when you are in any type of field, it definitely helps a lot in separating you from everyone else. Because obviously you have those who are like to be more of a leadership, then you have those who are like to be more behind the scenes. But being able to get a little bit of all of that when I was at Fitchburg State has helped me enough to be able to feel very comfortable in my role since I'm such such in community engaging, and that's something that I was not expecting at all. When I thought about myself as being a first generation, I always thought I was just gonna be, what, go to class, do what you got to do, and that's it. But thanks to everything that I was able to get engaged and be a part of a Fitchburg State, was able to help me with all that stuff.
Um, and my 2 cents, and I don't want to keep it too long, but uh, what I've benefited from FSU and being like a first gen college student, and how has it been benefiting me? Just more so of allowing me to expand upon my horizons by meeting new people, networking. No, I'm telling you, networking is like it's gonna take you very far. Little do you know, networking, network. Um, because the people who you know may know other people that will lead you to the opportunities that you are looking for. Although you can be thinking that like oh like I don't like this person because like this that and the third, but like hey, like they may know somebody that that may lead you to the right direction that you need to go to. But on top of that, I've also learned how to be a lot more of a creative thinker, and also I've learned how to be more of like a critical thinker through my education and my experiences at FSU, and a lot. It just allowed me to be a better person, a better filmmaker, and a better entrepreneur moving forward. So.
Yeah, very specifically to me in the world of architecture, a lot of times you have to um, not only deal with some method of communication with different clients towards what their requests are, for lack of a better term, but also you have this coordination with different people, whether it's other designers, engineers, contractors, managers, and so forth. You have a lot of these different layers in which you're doing this type of communication, coordination, and connection that's occurring. And being a first generation college student, especially at Fitchburg State, what helped me out is a lot of the kind of cliche statements that you would hear, like independence, leadership, motivation, determination, dedication, and so forth. Like I said earlier in one of the questions, sometimes the reason they're cliches is because they're said so many times, but it's because they're true in that aspect. And in that way, from the words that I mentioned there, especially the aspect of independence, where a lot of the times a method of not just knowing the answer, but even finding a way to get the answer for something, it makes it so that you always find a way to learn how to succeed, whether it's any kind of situation or problem or dilemma that you have. And relative to work itself, when there's a lot of different phases and steps you have to go through for any kind of profession that you have, you make it so that no matter what, you always have this kind of feeling that you're going to achieve it. And you have this imaginary roadmap as to how you get from point A to point B. no matter how long that process is, no matter how many steps or bumps in the road that you have to get to your final destination, it makes it so that you have this innate level of confidence and understanding that even if you don't know how that road actually looks like, that it's going to lead towards exactly where you wanted it to go. And that's why some of the times where when you yourself have to kind of figure out these obstacles on your own, it makes it so that the next one just feels a little easier no matter what that next obstacle actually is. Because now you're comfortable with these, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but unique situations that make it so that even if you don't know what to do specifically, you know that you're going to do it.
Oh, okay. So how have I benefited? I think that I have definitely used the resources Fitchburg State has provided. I have always been part of a program that is federally funded, like Gear Up. I worked for Upper Bound, and I was part of Expanding Horizon. Shout out to Jason Smith, the director. I definitely cannot express how much I appreciate Expanding Horizon. My advisor was Beth, which is an amazing woman. I have realized during my experience that I might have needed a couple of assistance and guidance, and I was a little late with applying to Expanding Horizon. I believe it was my senior year. One of my friends actually told me like, "Hey, Expanding Horizon, you get a tutor, you're able to navigate Fitchburg State easily." Even though I was there for 3 years, I think that being part of a program allowed me to gain more skills that I didn't know that I had. I think that when I started working for Upper Bound Salem State, one of the department is at Lawrence High School, which I was an alumni. I realized that I was a walking example. I applied for for the position and was like, okay, I will probably get it, maybe not. I didn't really put my hopes up. But once I got the job, I realized that I had students coming to me asking me like, how was Fitchburg State? Where should I apply? What should I do? Um, how do I look for scholarships and all these? So I think because I utilize all the resources that Fitchburg State might have had, career services, expanding horizon, being part of CDI, just gaining so much knowledge allowed me to show other students that are first generation or student of color that it is possible and it's doable.
Great, thank you. So yeah, there's definitely that resonating theme of when you're a first gen, there's a lot of things you have to figure out on your own, which makes you really good at and sometimes it takes a little while to get you there, but asking questions, right? And utilizing the resources once you're able to figure them out and getting creative, right? And doing, as much as you can with what you have. And that networking piece is certainly big. I will always obviously advocate for networking because of the work that I do, but just personally too, as well. I understand that piece of you just don't know who you're meeting and what connections they have and how you can support one another. So I do want to recognize that it is 6 o'clock. And so I want to be respectful of everybody's time. And so I don't know if maybe if is there anybody that maybe has one quick question that they would want to ask the alumni. And maybe we can end with that.
Hey, Melissa, it's Jason. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm not camera ready, so I'm just unmuting. But this is Jason Smith here, currently serving as the Assistant Dean for Student Success. Some of you, as Tabitha named, probably know me from my previous role as Director of Expanding Horizons. And so I don't have a question so much, just as a comment. First of all, thank you all so much for allowing me to be a student of yours for the past hour and learning from your experiences and what you got out of Fitchburg State, how Fitchburg State helped prepare you, and then also where there's room for growth. I just want to say to all of you, there's so much that I want to say in response to your really really meaningful recommendations and share with you what the institution has done and is continuing to do to meet the needs and the gaps that you're identifying. I think that we owe you that as alumni, especially being active alumni. I want to share with you what your alma mater is doing. But lastly, I just want to say, wow, you are doing your school so proud, all of you, in the breadth and depth of the work that you're doing. Content generators, life changers, you're doing amazing work. And so I just want to say thank you for being here tonight. And I'm so glad that I got to meet some of you for the first time and reconnect with you, with some of you as well. And also, Tabitha, I went to Merrimack for the higher ed program, so we need to connect sometime.
Thank you, Jason. So any last, I know that there's some students in the space. Do either of you want to ask a question? And that's okay if you don't. I just figured this, this is your one chance to ask, right, this amazing panelist a question. So okay, so I just want to again thank each of the alumni panelists for your time and for coming into this space and really speaking your truth and sharing your experiences and your stories, and thank you again for allowing us to record it, because I think this will allow us an opportunity to really share your words of wisdom with more students. So thank you for that. You all are amazing. I wish I had the opportunity to work with you here as students. But I will say that as recent alumni, you can use the services in our office. So if you ever want to connect in that capacity, don't ever hesitate to reach out. But again, thank you so much for being with us tonight, and for joining us. I really appreciate your time, your energy, and your words of wisdom, because I think, I saw again somebody who is first gen herself, a lot of your what you said resonated with me, and I think part of all this is how do we make it easier for others who are coming behind us, whether that's family or other students who are also first gen themselves, that they're not left out there to figure it all out by themselves. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop the record button now. But I hope you all have a good night. Please take care of yourselves. There's a lot going on in this world right now. So take care of yourselves, take care of your friends and family, look out for one another, and take that time for some self-care and some self-love. So
hey, can we say one thing?
Sure.
Okay. All the panelists, can we give a shout out to Melissa for hosting this though?
Right.
Melissa,
Good job. This is great.
So much. We really appreciate it.
Kevin. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's really nice connecting with all of you.
I do want to say, if there is a part 2, I am here for it. So